Konnichiwa, this is the Shogunstein. This is a very exciting night because when I checked the mailbox today, look what was there. My Blu-ray, my DVD of the Amitri concert at the Barrowland from last year. Every night has a dawn. Very excited to get this into the Blu-ray and start rocking out to my favorite band of all time, Amitri. So when I'm asked what's my favorite band, well, there's kind of three ways that I answer that. In terms of like the band that I've been into the longest, like kind of like legendary status, is The Who, and I include Pete Townshend's solo material in that as well, because I actually got into Townsend first before I got into The Who. I've been following The Who and Townsend since I was in middle school, so like my legendary band, like my longest band that I've been following. And then in terms of modern music, in terms of new bands, at least new to me, well, it's 10 years now, but my favorite newest band is Lord Huron, which I started following when their Lonesome Dreams record came out 10 years ago. And they're my current favorite band. But again, my favorite band of all time is Scotland's Amitri. Now, with The Who having been around for over 50 years and just being, one of the greatest rock bands of all time, there is just, so much content, so much material, so much stuff out there of the Who, between the live records and concerts. And even just a few weeks back, I got to see them. They came through Phoenix. They did a great show. I can't tell you how happy I was to see The Who. It had been a long time. That was like my seventh Who concert. But they were backed by a very young orchestra, which has some great musicians led by the great Katie Jacoby, who you might see also doing some stuff with Springsteen right now. But they were fantastic. But my point is that The Who have been around for a long time, and there's just lots of footage and stuff out there for me always to kind of go back and look at. I can look at whether it be the concert for New York, Who's Last, so many live albums, so much material out there. Now, with Lord Huron being a modern band, of course, we have, YouTube and obviously all the streaming and just all kinds of, you know, uh, social media. It's just there's a lot of, you know, it's a modern age. I can, even myself, even on this YouTube channel, I have some footage of them in concert doing The Stranger, or even for concerts that are part of the same tour, not necessarily the same show, but I can go watch, full concerts on YouTube. So not only do I have footage, on my phone of Lord Huron, but I could very easily, again, go to YouTube or onto the internets and get a ton. I could watch whole concerts. There's just a lot of stuff out there. And again, if Lord Huron, I hope this never happens, but if Lord Huron stopped being a band tomorrow, there would be a ton of content for me to still watch forever and ever online. Now, Delamitri, my favorite band of all time, that was not always the case. They, their biggest, I guess maybe their glory, I don't want to say that their glory run is over because they put out a fantastic new album. But, they were biggest, let's say, if we want to argue the end, very late 1980s, early 90s. They just kind of missed, YouTube and social media and the internet. They never really had a big presence. And they kind of stopped making music for a while, just as the internet became the internet that we know. Now, again, in the mid 90s, I remember when AOL was new, and I remember being on an active forum on the VH1 of all places. VH1 had a thing on AOL, and they had a message board for Delamitri. And I remember that was very active. And then there was a fan site that was not an official band site. It was run by fans that I also remember in like the late 90s. But they never really had a big, you know, media online presence because again they stopped making music in the early 2000s for a while, and there just wasn't a lot of stuff, maybe some old videos from MTV or VH1, but there just was not a lot of um, content on there. And in terms of me personally, um, I saw them, maybe it was 97, 98 for Some Other Suckers Parade. I saw them at the Supper Club. I'm going to say it was around 97, 98. And that was the third time I saw Del Amitri. The first time was at the 930 Club in Washington. The second time was at the Bayou in Washington, Georgetown. But when I saw them at that show at the Supper Club, I had no idea that would be the last time I saw Del Amitri live for until 2022. And I just, I had there wasn't a lot of concert footage or video clips. That means a few things here and there, but there just wasn't. And for me personally, and again, unlike, Lord Huron, where I can go to my phone and go, wow, I got this great video from the Van Buren here in Phoenix. I didn't have that. I just had my memories. And as I'm, over 50 years old now, those memories, harder and harder to, bring them back. So it was fading. I remember going to that first show at the 930 Club, and I remember, Justin Currie kind of doing a really cool, extended version of Last to Know. And beyond that, I really don't remember much about that. I have no footage. The Bayou, as I've talked about in some other videos, I remember getting shushed when Stone Cold Sober, when they opened with that. So I remember that, and of course, my misadventure after, where we ended up back in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I remember that, but other than that, I have no memories, no footage of that show. And again, when I saw them at the Supper Club, same thing. I was before, having any kind of video on my phone. I think I remember them doing New York, New York, like half of it. But I don't really remember much else about that show. What songs they did, anything they said. I have nothing. I have no footage, nothing. I can't go on the internet and go, hey, can I see some footage of the 1997 Supper Club show? Again, if I want, I could go, not only do I have my footage from the Van Buren of Lord Huron, but I could probably go on there and find a lot of other people's footage from the Van Buren. So, but back to Del Amitri, I never thought when I saw that show at the Supper Club, that would be the last time that I was going to see them. And, as it was pushing to more modern times, I was pretty, unfortunately, came to grips that I was never going to see, Del Amitri again. It was a tough thing to think about, but I was, pretty, come to the realization that, that was it. And I didn't know that in 97. It was very disappointing. I accepted it, but I just figured that was it. And I just have to hang on to that memory as long as possible. Now, a couple of exceptions. When Justin Currie, who's done the lead singer, did some great solo records, he came to Phoenix. He played at a very tiny bar in Phoenix for the Lower Reaches tour. And it was him with a keyboard and an older guy with a guitar. It was great. That was something that I had to come to the conclusion that I was never going to see Del Amitri again. So when Justin Currie came to town, and again, he did some Del Amitri stuff. He did mostly his solo stuff, which is fantastic. But it was it's a keyboard and a guitar. It was great. I remember when they sang "Move Away, Jimmy Blue." I remember there was a lady next to me, and she was like crying. It's a great song, and it's just I was kind of again convinced that was probably the last time I'd ever hear that song, see that song live. And it was a great show. It was a very pleasant surprise to have him come to town, but still wasn't a Del Amitri show. So, but again, if that had been the last live Justin Currie show I was ever going to get to see, I was okay with that. It was something that I kind of knew was like an extra bonus. Hey, I got to see that show at the Supper Club, but here it was, here it is in Phoenix, and here's Justin Currie's like a bonus. Now, Del Amitri did do a kind of like a reunion tour. They did some dates in the UK, and again, I'm here in the States, and that wasn't going to happen. And then a couple of years later, they again did some dates in Scotland, and they one of the places that they played was Edinburgh Castle, and I was tempted. To get on to a plane and go to that show. I ended up not because work started. I can't just get up and fly to Scotland and leave my family here in Arizona to go see a show. But I was kind of kicking myself again not doing that because of that location, Edinburgh Castle. I've been to once. I saw the Tattoo there with all the bagpipe bands. That was probably, I think, in like 1999. So I would have liked to have done that, but again, I didn't do it. I was kind of upset with myself for not doing that because again, I thought that was probably my last chance to see Del Amitri. But I was wrong. They ended up putting out a new record, uh, Fatal Mistakes, and then they also put out a great, a few months later, a great B-side and some tracks that I don't know if they recorded after Fatal Mistakes or they just didn't make the record, but it was like a whole nother Del Amitri record again. And they came to the States. So in March 2022, they came to a wonderful venue here in Phoenix, the Crescent Ballroom. So not only did they come to Phoenix, but they came to a very intimate venue with great acoustics, and I just couldn't believe that I was going to get to see Del Amitri again. And not only to see Del Amitri again, but they were supporting new music. So back to that show at Edinburgh Castle, or that previous, the A to Z show. I think it was called A to Z, where they did, songs from each of their records. Again, I would have loved to have seen either of those shows, but when I got to see them at the Crescent Ballroom, not only did I get to see them in a great venue here, but and not only did I get to hear a bunch of songs that I hadn't heard live since, 1997, but then they playing some fantastic new music. So it wasn't like a nostalgia show. Again, if I'd seen, some of those other shows, it would have been like a nostalgia show. Oh, here's my favorite band from, 1992, and they're playing, the song from, 1992. There it was, they were playing new, fresh music, which was fantastic. So this DVD is from that tour, but this is them back at the Barrowland, and that's in Scotland. And one other thing about the Barrowland is this is the site of one of my biggest memories as a youth. That was when MTV, again, 1982 or 83 or 84, maybe between 82, 83, 83, 84. It was New Year's Eve, and it was also one of the first bands I got into, Big Country. And MTV showed them live from the Barrowland doing an amazing New Year's Eve concert. That you can actually still see on YouTube. That's an amazing show, and I still watch that a couple times every year. And that's a venue that I someday I'm going to get to, whether it be to see Del Amitri or someone else. I do want to see a show at the Barrowland. Fortunately, Big Country, the lead singer, passed away. They're still touring, but to me, it's not the same. But now that Del Amitri put out a great new record, they're back together. Hopefully, they make another great record, and I'll have a chance to go see them at the Barrowland, which would be a total, kind of full circle. Because again, one of my earliest music memories was again sitting in my house on Long Island, New Year's Eve. MTV was kind of new, and there was Big Country at the Barrowland. So I'm looking forward to playing Del Amitri Every Night Has a Dawn at the Barrowland, 11/6/22. It's got the concert, and it also has some acoustic stuff. This is basically the show that I saw here in Phoenix. There's a few other songs here that they didn't play when we saw them. For instance, Surface of the Moon. That'd be great to watch. They didn't do that when This Side of the Morning. They didn't play either when I saw them here in Phoenix. So slightly different show than what I saw, but for the most part, most of the same songs. Again, you got these bonus clips, the acoustic listing. So looking forward to this very much. So this is again a look at the new Blu-ray Del Amitri Every Night Has a Dawn at the Barrowland. This is the Shogunstein. Very excited to watch this, and I got more Del Amitri content. I love it. It's my favorite band of all time, and this just makes me really happy to have them active again and be able to enjoy Del Amitri live. This is the Shogunstein out.